Sooappi on his bench in Madison Square Park shook his head when the sound of migratory geese was heard at night, and when Sooappi sighed sad on his bench, he realized that winter was coming. A dry leaf fell on Sooappi's clothes, signaling the arrival of winter. Sooappi had realized the fact that it was time to form a one-man council and examine ways to combat the cold ideal. So he moved sadly on his bench. Sooappi's dreams were not very high-flying. Among them was no trace of a tour of the Mediterranean Sea, or the dreamless skies of the south, or of a tour of the bay. 3 months in prison on the island was his dream. The food, bed, stay safe from the cold winds in Sooappi's opinions was the best dream. For years, the hospitable Blackwell prison was his winter home. Just as a happier fellow citizen bought tickets to the tropics every winter, Sooappi arranged his annual migration to the island, and now it was the time. So the island was deemed necessary and timely. There were many convenient ways to do this. The most ingenious of these was eating at one of the city's luxury restaurants, as it was then handed over to the police for not paying for the restaurant. If he could get to one of the tables without being suspect, it would be over. Sooappi tied it up and thought what to order to worth going to jail, but as soon as he set foot in the restaurant, the waiter saw his old pants and his old shoes and threw him out of the restaurant. It looks that his way to the island for which he had sharpened his teeth was not paved with fun, and he had to think of other ways. At the corner of 6th Street, the lights shone brightly to show the goods in the shop window. Sooappi picked up a flat piece of rock and threw it at the shop window. He straight at the brass button on Bodo's uniform in his pocket, grinning.
Who did it? I mean, you didn't know I did that.
Those who break the glass do not stay to negotiate with law enforcement, but run away. Meanwhile, the constable seized the man that was running to take a cab. He ran after the man and holding his button. Sooappi set off with a heart full of anger and disgust. It still failed. On the other side of the street was a restaurant that was not glamorous and was for the faint-hearted but compact. The dishes were large and thick, and the soup was watery and thin. Its atmosphere was familiar, and its service was low. Sooappi effortlessly managed to take off his rigid shoes and put on his high-waisted pants inside the restaurant. He sat at the table and ate beef thighs, pastries, donuts, and cakes, and then confessed to the waiter and said the facts that he don't have any money, not even change.
Now make a noise and inform the constable and do not delay respectable gentlemen so much.
The waiter looked at him with red eyes like the cherry.
The police are useless. Hey, Carl, come here.
2 unfair waiters threw him on the hard pavement of the street, so that he lay down laying on his left ear. Like a folding lion that opens, little by little he rose from the ground and shook the dust of his clothes. Being arrested now seemed like a dream. His distance from the island seemed too far away. A policeman standing in front of pharmacy, just below the restaurant, walked down the street laughing. By the time Sooappi found the carriage again, the constable had passed 5 buildings. Sooappi started running and stopped running somewhere, which is the brightest street at night where love and opera can be found. Women in leather coats and men in raincoats, lively and fresh in the cold winter weather. He began to make unusual movements. Sooappi began to walk on the sidewalk in a hoarse voice like a drunken man making noises and making noises. He danced, screamed, made noise, and disturbed public order. The policeman turned his back on the Sooappi and told one of his fellow citizens,
"This is another alumni celebrated. They are all loud and clear, but no one is bothered. We have been ordered to leave him alone."
Upset and disturbed, Sooappi stopped his fruitless pastime, so no policeman will arrest him. The island seemed unattainable to me like Arcadia too. To counter the cold wind that blows close the buttons of his thin coat. In a cigarette shop, he saw a handsome man lighting a cigarette under the lights. He had set aside his silk umbrella in the entrance. Sooappi entered the store. He picked up the umbrella and walked out with it. The well-dressed man hurried after him.
"This umbrella is mine." "If you ride, why not a constable? I took your umbrella, your umbrella. Why don't you call a constable? A constable is standing there."
The owner of the umbrella slowed down. He did with this while feeling lucky again. The constable looked at it curiously.
"Well, honestly, sometimes these mistakes happen. Well, if this umbrella is yours, I hope you will forgive me. I picked it up in a restaurant this morning. If you think this umbrella is yours, well, I hope that. It turns out that it's mine."
The proviso owner of the umbrella retreated. Sooappi walked to the street where his had been dug for repairs and angrily threw the umbrella into one of the puddles and began to grumble and insult the guards as if they knew he was an angel. It doesn't disgust Sooappi solace of a false deer, so he went down to Madison Street towards his house, because a homeowner can make a living even if it's a park bench. He stopped in a secluded corner where there was an old church. The moon was shining brightly. The number of cars and pedestrians was small. Sparrows were singing on the edge of the sleepy roof. For a moment it looked like the ground of the ruins in the rural church. The song that was played stuck him to the railings, because he remembered the song well in those days when his life was full of things like mother, flowers, wishes, friends, and thoughts. Sooappi thoughts and the influence of the old church brought about sudden and extraordinary change in the spirit of Sooappi. He became terrified of the well in which he had fallen, the ruined days, the bad goals, the dead hopes, the lost abilities, and the vile motives that filled his being. He will pull himself out of the mire. The will make himself a man again, live your big and old dreams again and follow them. The musical notes, heavy and formal, and at the sometimes sweet and pleasant, it creates a revelation on him. Tomorrow he will go to the crowded neighborhood of the city center to find a job. A leather importer once offered him a diving job. Tomorrow he will find the skin importer and he will apply for a job and become someone for himself he wants. He left a hand Sooappi on his arm. It spun quickly. His eyes fell roughly on the policeman.
"What are you doing here?"
"Nothing."
"Well then, you were arrested for wandering."
3 months on the island, the head of the district court said.